And so the match came out, and I found out I didn't match with either of the programs.
Why don't we tell the audience a little bit about, your background, where you did your education and training?
So after I graduated high school, I was a lifelong Gator fan, and it's always a dream of mine to go to University of Florida. So I ended up going there for undergrad. I knew when I was in high school that I was pursuing pharmacy, so I was able to do just kind of the 2 year of undergrad and then start pharmacy school after that. So after 2 years in Gainesville, I got accepted to University of Florida College of Pharmacy, and I was at the Jacksonville campus. And so I spent 2 years in Gainesville and then 4 years in Jacksonville.
What is your current position now?
Right now I work as a informatics pharmacist at a corporate for my company.
Okay, very cool. Most of my colleagues aren't in the corporate space, so it'll be interesting to hear some of your experiences. So take us back to why it doesn't have to be a long answer or anything, but why did you pursue pharmacy? Like, where was that interest? Where did it start?
I'd always had a strong background in math and the sciences, so it's something that seemed like it could be a good fit for me. Accounting is something else that I kind of really strongly was considering in high school, and I had a couple of people that I worked with that were already in college while I was still in high school, and they were both pursuing pharmacy at the time. They were pre-pharmacy, and so that kind of gave me kind of the idea to really look at it more. And after I kind of looked into the career a little bit, it seemed like it was going to be a good work-life balance. The compensation seemed like it was pretty good, and this would be something I could do and be done 6 years after high school. When I compared it to something like medicine, where you're going to school for 8 years, and then you're doing your residency, and then you might be doing a fellowship after that. So it seems like something that I could kind of have good work-life balance and kind of have my personal life outside of work. I think it would kind of just be a big picture, it'd be a good career.
Yeah, and it was a hot profession at that time too.
Yeah, and so and for a little bit of context around that, I graduated high school in 2008, and I graduated pharmacy school in 2014. And while I was in high school, there was that's when all the articles were coming out. It's like, pharmacy's the hottest profession. Yeah. There's a huge need. And I think a lot of us that are in the profession right now kind of see the effect that's had, and how many pharmacy schools have opened up, and everything that. So I think I kind of was graduating at one of the last classes before the saturation truly hit.
Yeah. The landscape has definitely changed quite a bit in the last few years. Okay, so pharmacy school, right? 4 years of pharmacy school. You, towards the end of pharmacy school, you were interested in residency, right? Was there a shift? Because, you started off by saying 6 years of pharmacy school, so it sounded like you were originally interested in just community.
Yeah, that was my goal when I was thinking when I was in high school, and even through most of my pharmacy school, I definitely just kind of assumed that I was going to go into the community rotation. I was looking at kind of especially some of the grocery store chains as being the ideal fit for me. But once I kind of got to my rotations, I definitely wanted to keep an open mind while I was on my rotations. Even though I was almost sure that I was going to do retail or community, I was I'm going to keep an open mind, try to learn as much as I can about seeing what different professions are available within pharmacy. And so I did that. And as I was going through my rotations, I had one of my preceptors in my ambulatory care rotation kind of really had a pretty big impact on me, and she kind of explained some of the reasons of where residency could be beneficial. And I think having an extra year in a really focused learning environment would definitely allow me to grow and learn a lot within that time frame. And so that's when I started to really even consider residency at all. That was kind of towards the end of the year when I had that rotation, and then mid-year was coming up shortly after that. And so
end of the year, so when was that rotation?
The rotation, so I had that rotation, it was an 8-week rotation, and I believe that it occurred from July into August or August into September. I think it's somewhere in that time frame, or it might even be September or October. Like, I don't know. It's
so that was a very short time span between being interested and mid-year, right? Is that
yeah?
Correct?
So I that's really accurate, and kind of going back to kind of my history is that school was something that came extremely natural to me throughout high school and even into undergrad, and sometimes I felt like I didn't have to put out a lot of effort and still got really good results. So when I got to pharmacy school, the level of difficulty was like a magnitude higher than what I was used to, and it definitely caught me off guard, and I had to kind of work on my studying skills and really just kind of organizing and being able to have success in classes. But I was thinking I was going into community, so I wasn't that worried about it.
Yeah. Okay.
So I had this mindset of community, but then it gets close to mid-year. I'm considering residency, like I go and I sign up for mid-year, and so maybe this was like 2 months at most in between when I decided I wanted to do residency and when I was going to mid-year.
Okay. So typically, for the students who are interested in residency, they're preparing almost like right when they start pharmacy school, they hear about residency. How was that like to prepare everything within that 2-month time span? Like
that was incredibly stressful. It was definitely I found myself getting into some like paralysis by analysis. There's so many programs out there. I didn't know kind of which ones I wanted to go for, and then also what I'm going to do like after I get done with residency. Like, do I want to do PGY2 after that? And so I tried to like, okay, let me at least just focus on PGY1 before I worry about anything else. And so there was a lot of programs to kind of go through. I was like, my CV wasn't really quite up to date, so I was like, I need to update that. I need to kind of walk through some questions that I might come across, or some questions I can ask from programs to kind of see if they'd be a good fit for me or not. And so there was a lot to do, and just trying to do it in a very small amount of time. And like I'm on my like toughest rotation out of all my rotations I had during my 4th year.
And which rotation is that?
This was my ambulatory care rotation.
Okay.
And I had a preceptor that was very hard on me, and it was really good to have somebody that could kind of see potential and kind of could tell that I would respond to somebody who was definitely very demanding of me.
Okay, so you got interested in residency. You spent this short time span in which you got everything together. You're at mid-year. You're interviewing with the programs, or you're evaluating them, and then you applied. How many programs did you end up applying to?
And so I think when there were so many programs that were out there, and I definitely got overwhelmed to some extent, that I just kind of decided I was going to like focus on a couple of the locations I was familiar with. So I grew up in Pensacola, Florida, and I went to pharmacy school in Jacksonville. So I ended up only applying to 5 programs, 3 in Pensacola and 2 in Jacksonville, and I kind of eliminated a large amount of them just because I made up a bunch of reasons why they wouldn't be good fits, or it'd be too much work, or I was concerned about how much it would cost to travel to different places and get a hotel and either drive or have to get a flight or something like that. So I kind of narrowed it down really narrow to just 2 cities.
Okay. Well, and we have a video on that Eric will share more about that experience. Okay, so you have 5 programs you applied for. How many did you actually end up getting?
So I actually only ended up getting selected for an interview for 2 of them.
Okay, well that's good. To be selected for an interview anywhere is amazing. So, okay, you go on those interviews. How was the experience like?
The interviews were pretty good.
Felt pretty good.
One had me do a presentation. They said it could be something that I'd done already on my rotation. So I had something that I was pretty confident in material, and I was pretty excited to kind of share that with their staff. Something that I definitely struggle with, though, is I wasn't very clear on why I was pursuing residency or where that was going to take me in my career. So I had multiple interests at this time. Cardiology seemed pretty cool. Informatics seemed really cool, although I still didn't really know what exactly informatics was at this point. And I thought ambulatory care was really cool, especially in like a lipid clinic or coag or diabetes. And so when they were asking me kind of like why I was interested in their program, I didn't give like a very clear answer that kind of would show that we were like a good fit for each other.
Okay.
And so I think it's important to be clear on like your message, like who you are, what you're pursuing, and kind of explain to the program why you would be a good fit.
Yeah.
And as a student, I didn't ever even consider the side of it. It's just I thought the programs were just looking for the best candidates, and the candidates were just looking for the best programs. And the nuance of a fit isn't something that really occurred to me at that time.
Yeah. So program fit, as you mentioned, is pretty important, and then also being able to articulate the why, right? All right. So you got those 2 interviews. Then what happened next?
I think they went pretty well, especially the one in Jacksonville. I knew some of my classmates had interviewed there too, and I knew it was going to be a very competitive spot. So I ranked them and I waited, and so the match came out, and I found out I didn't match with either of the programs.